Is there a world where the Flames sign 28-year-old forward Mitch Marner and it maybe goes a little bit better than the Jonathan Huberdeau experience? Probably not.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jessica Mosto, and thank you so much for joining me today. We are going to be talking about what everyone else in the sports world is talking about, and is it a possibility that the Flames try to recruit Mitch Marner to their rebuilding situation where he doesn't have to worry about his playoff performance just yet? Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We are here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your Calgary Flames every day. And let's jump right into this because everyone is wondering, could my team be in on the Mitch Marner sweepstakes? And let's consider it, okay? Mitch Marner is a pending free agent. His season with the Maple Leafs just ended. He is expected to command $13 million or more. That is a lot of money to be paying anyone. I know that players who get to that point in their career are obviously going to be on the older side, but I can't imagine paying anyone $13 million. Like, I just think of Jonathan Huberdeau's contract in the sense of $10.5 million for a 31-year-old for the next 5 seasons. But I digress. Mitch Marner has had 3 90-plus point seasons. He just wrapped up a 100-plus point campaign in the regular season. He played the season with Austin Matthews as his center and Matthew Nyes on the left wing. I think that obviously helps you when you are looking to compare how his numbers may translate from team to team. You have an elite center, and you have a rather elite Mitch Marner. So I think that helps you a lot. And it's a good time to remember that the Flames don't necessarily have an elite 1C. So he really hasn't had a good go of it, an easy go of it in Toronto, either, always missing, those first round exits certainly racked up year after year after year. And then, just no real playoff success. And I think that's why a lot of people are harping on this and thinking, well, clearly he can't play in a big market. He can't play in, under the pressure in the light, like under the lights, like there can't be too much. He has to go to a low profile team. And to be entirely honest, the lowest profile Canadian team I would have to say is the Flames, in terms of the size of the media. It is nothing like Toronto or Montreal. You don't see Craig Conroy saying dumb stuff about his players every week like you do with the Canucks. And the Jets, I feel like, also have a pretty low-key atmosphere as well. But they have been in the playoffs recently. So I think that's added pressure, is to obviously get them back to the playoffs and have him succeed there. And Ottawa, obviously being part of Ontario, like there'd be a whole narrative of, going to the rival side, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But he has had just 13 goals in over 70 playoff games. To me, that was very surprising to see a bulk of his statistics, 63 points together. So 50 assists over 70 games. That's still rather impressive. That's almost a point per game when you break it down, but to not show up in those quote unquote big moments does impact your team. And I think a lot of that has kind of just built up over time, because I'm sorry, if you are a 100-point player in the regular season and you're not showing up for me in the playoffs, what good does your regular season performance do? And I think about that a lot. Go back to Matthew Tkachuk in that 2021-2022 season. Great regular season performance. But then what? This was kind of a useless stat, but I found it interesting that he's only had one game-winning goal in the postseason. Not that I expect a player to have, a handful of those when they only have 13 goals in the postseason, but I expect a player like Mitch Marner to command the scene, to be that game-changing player. That player that we talk about the Flames absolutely needing. Someone that can score and just break open the game, whether it's a tie game or a late goal, a go-ahead goal late in the third period, whatever the case may be. And we're just not seeing that here from Marner. And for a player that is, obviously plays as well as him, what are we doing? What isn't clicking? You have all the right pieces around you. You have your elite center. You have a great other winger. You yourself are a playmaker. Like, what isn't clicking? And I fear that we're going to have to dive a little bit deeper into that when discussing, the logistics of the Flames bringing him to Calgary. But for now, it's just important to remember the Flames don't need another question mark. They need pieces to build a future and not immediate fixes. And coming up next, we are going to talk about how the Flames could actually, try to get this done if they so choose to. Coming up next on Locked On Flames. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats that help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no shells variety. It's the perfect grab and go snack. I like the salt and vinegar ones as well as the regularly salted ones. Both are great snacks, whether I am here at my desk working or if I'm on the go at work or if I just need a quick snack for a road trip. Get snacking and get cracking with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Thank you, everyone, for making Locked On Flames part of your day. Make sure you're subscribed to the show wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. And I honestly, the body wasn't even cold yet. And I was looking at cap space and texting my friends and my Toronto friends about, how could this work? What could he bring to the team? And the first thing I thought of was obviously the cap space, because the Flames do have some RFAs they need to sign. They need to be smart about who they bring in free agency, as well as the contracts they're offering. $29 million to bring in Mitch Marner and get those players signed shouldn't be an issue. If, we're not talking hard numbers here, just roughly. I think that they would absolutely use Kadri as a recruiter sort of situation, kind of text him and call them, say, hey, like, how's the wife? How's the kids? Oh, also, have you ever been to the Calgary Stampede? Have you ever been to the Calgary Zoo? You think our facility might be outdated now, but look at what we're building. Speaking of building, we are working on putting together a contending team and think you would be a great part of this. Yeah, it's a young team, but guess what? We're looking for success. You would be a leader here. You are a god to some of these children. I don't know how that would work, but another thing I thought of when thinking, like, making that Marner and Kadri connection was the drama that happened Mitch Marner's rookie season. I believe it was his rookie season when Mike Babcock pulled him aside and said, "I need you to rank your veteran teammates from like the worst work ethic, who has the worst to best work ethic." I think it was something like that. And he put Kadri as like the worst. And I'm sure that drama has been smoothed over by now. But to me, it would be so crazy to have those two reunited. I think it would be fun. I think they have both grown a lot as players and obviously as human beings since the mid 2010s. But could you entice him with this new facility? Could you entice him with this vision that is a Stanley Cup contending Calgary Flames team? Does he want to be part of something that is in progress, or does he want to go to a team uh where the a true playoff run is a little bit closer than it is in Calgary? Like, are you thinking of maybe I'm just naming teams, like a St. Louis. I don't know what any of these teams' cap spaces are. Detroit? Detroit could really use another good goal scorer. Okay, well, maybe the Bruins. What if we Vegas? Like there are a number of teams that you're going to be competing with. And can you hold, no pun intended, but can you hold a flame to them? If someone is offering me a contract to go to a team that has recently won a Stanley Cup, no income tax, number 2, and number 3, um significantly closer to another deep playoff run than other teams that have been offered to me. Is that something I want to chase? Is that something that I could be interested in? I mean, I think that the Flames are becoming a slowly but surely attractive team to be, part of. What they're building is special, not done overnight, and you're not going to fix it by signing one single superstar at the age of 28 years old. That's not how it works. But could Craig Conroy, we know how much of a smooth talker Craig Conroy is, a clean slate, power play time. It's not like Toronto. It's a true community, a tight-knit community. And, mention how they threw a baby shower, or, oh, we did Christmas here and all the guys and their wives got together. Like something to make it again, it's more than just the on ice stuff that pulls a player to a team. And you obviously put the emphasis on we're building something here. I mean, hey, have you seen Dustin Wolf? Like there are a lot of good pieces for the Flames' future. But I don't know if I see a 28-year-old player signing for 7 years at the price that he is going to command on the open market. I think it's something we're going to talk about in a little bit, but you know, the Flames have the money. They have the resources. I think that the new arena, the new facility, the timeline on that, as well as their push to the very end for that playoff spot, I think is a huge plus for the team in that aspect. I do think it takes away from other works in progress, but that's an entirely different episode. But ultimately, it comes down to what Mitch Marner wants. I don't necessarily think he's looking at a map. I think that I don't know him. I don't know him from the guy that sold me deli meat today. Like I don't know him. But if if the rumors are true about him not even being able to walk down the street in Toronto with his dog without being bothered and heckled, and then them getting his dad involved, like, I don't think he's gonna wanna play in a large market. I think smaller market teams, I truly think that this is going to go, like, a la Gaudreau style. I think he's going to go to, this team that is out in left field, no one has on their radar, and maybe they're not a playoff contending team. Maybe they're not. Maybe it is the Ducks, the Sharks. Chicago has Marner money. Could they do it? Could they do that and add Marner to Bedard's toolbox? Listen to Locked On Chicago Blackhawks to find out more. But you have to figure out a way to make yourself the most attractive team if you want him. But coming up next, we're going to talk about if I think the Flames should do it and what the drawbacks may be if it's something they actually do consider. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, and you're following me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Jess Belmosto. So I need everyone to take a deep breath and to put your listening ears on. I do not hate the idea of adding a 100 plus point player to this team. To me, that sounds fantastic. That sounds like exactly what the Flames need. They need a goal scorer. They need someone who can score goals. Well, do you know what happened the last time you went and replaced a 100-point player? They had the worst fall off in NHL history and have still struggled to hit mid 55 points, 55 to 60 points. He had 28 goals this year, but not sniffing anywhere near where he should be statistically. But let's take off the rose-colored glasses. Last free agency, you did not sign anyone to a long-term deal, especially someone who is already 28 years old. To me, it just does not make sense for the Flames to do this. They are not trying. They can't rush through this rebuild, because if you rush through it, you end up like the New York Rangers. At least, like, the Rangers got a first overall draft pick, right? And Panarin came in free agency. Things kind of lined up for them a little bit better than they have for the Flames so far. But you see the vision long term, and Mitch Marner would be a great player. I think he has improved dramatically on his two-way game. I think that his defense has definitely gotten better. But I worry about the drop-off in play, considering the pieces of talent you have in Toronto versus Calgary. You don't have Austin Matthews as your number one center. You don't have that. I mean, Kadri's a fantastic center. But is that a player? Like, is that something you want to take a risk on and tie up tens and millions of dollars in 4 years to come? I don't know. Personally, I don't think it's worth the risk. I'm not interested in trying to speed through this rebuild. I want to, you know, really do things methodically rather than trying to continue to patch holes and find quick replacements. That is how you continue in this cycle. You are not in a position right now where you can sign a 28-year-old to a 7-year deal. I don't care if the cap's rising. I don't care if there's, there's going to be like a no movement clause, no trade clause in there. But even if there weren't, I'm not interested. The Flames need to focus on getting younger and building talent. They can acquire talent in other ways, but signing a 28-year-old is not going to fix this. That is what, like, he is outside of the range that Craig Conroy has been working with. He is outside of that 23 to 25-year-old range. And we see players start to decline after 27 years old. And maybe they don't. Maybe it's like a Kadri situation where he has, this resurgence, this like second wave of elite hockey, or that just never goes away, But I don't think the Flames need to be risking that. Their goal is not to make the playoffs. Realistically, it is to build a better team that makes the playoffs year after year after year after year and eventually cracks it. Eventually, like, look at the Dallas Stars and how young their team is. Or not necessarily how young the team is, but how different it is from the 2020 team that went to the Stanley Cup final, right? That was them, right? No. Yes, it was. It against Tampa. That whole actually okay, I lied. It was the Stars that were in the Stanley Cup final. But no, like the it is a very different team. And it is a very different Lightning team. But who's still in the playoffs playing in the Western Conference final? It is the Stars. They have a great goaltender. Ottinger struggled to start the postseason, just like Connor Hellebuck did. You know, he stood tall. Their defense is fantastic. I look at the young kids in their lineup. Robertson, Wyatt Johnston, Thomas Harley. There's players I'm forgetting, but then you also have your key older players like Tyler Seguin, who has won a Stanley Cup. He has had multiple playoff runs. Jamie Benn, Matt Duchene. There are players on this team. Like, you have to have some sort of experience to get to where they are. And the only way you get there and stay there is if you kind of pump the brakes a little bit and start signing, these younger players, start developing these players a little bit more, scouting them with a little bit more of a clearer vision. And I think that that's what needs to stay at the forefront, is this clear vision of rebuilding. And I'm not talking about tearing it down to the studs, but keeping the progress going and this forward motion of, getting Zane Parekh into the lineup, getting Bruce Duich in the lineup, Matt Coronado, Connor Zary, Dustin Wolf. Like, you need to continue to build around these players and find a way to really make it work. And getting into the playoffs just once every 2 or 3 years isn't going to be enough. You need to do a lot more than that. And I think to start with that, you pass up the opportunity to sign Mitch Marner. And that'll do it for me here on today's episode of Locked On Flames. Thank you all so much for joining me. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We are here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. And I will see you all tomorrow as we continue through the off season with your daily Calgary Flames podcast. Bye-bye.